Alright, hello, I'm the silverkyle, and I am absolutely exhausted. Work these past few weeks has been interesting, to put it nicely. It has been a complete mess. Today is Monday. It feels like Monday. And it feels like the worst kind of Monday you could possibly have. But I wanted to make this video because I'm talking about fall games coming in 2020. Fall games. I've been doing like a fall preview of video games since I started this channel because I love talking about all these games that are coming out. It's just like Christmas every few weeks. It's great. It's a magical time to be alive during the fall season if you're into video games. Although surprisingly, we have had in the past few years, I would say, really good February and March months as well. And it's like, where did that come from? But yeah, I would say since 2014 maybe, we've been really getting, maybe even 2013, where we get a lot of big releases in February and March. But this right now is the season to be in. And because of everything that's going on in the world, this year we didn't get a lot of or as many games as we probably would have, and they kind of make up for it here. A lot more games, especially in October and November. We only have one game that I'm looking forward to in December, but we've got 7 for October, 8 for November, and 1 in December. December is never a big month. That's nothing out of the ordinary there. I would say, though, there's not really any big, massive, heavy hitters here. There's maybe one game that I'm really looking forward to, but not like normally during this time, you would get maybe 3, sometimes 4 that you're really excited about. And then a lot of other games that you are very much looking forward to as well. And right now, I would say it's more so on the scale of really looking forward to and nothing that's just making me go like, I need that right now. There's maybe one game that's like that. So we'll get into this. Starting with October, the first game that came out that's already out is Crash Bandicoot 4. It's About Time, which came out on October 2nd, which, how many days ago? I don't even know. What were the 5th today? Okay, last Friday then. I mean, it's just more Crash Bandicoot. If you're into that and 3D platformers, this is exactly what I want because we don't get enough of these games anymore. We really don't. I love Crash Bandicoot. I think that the remakes that they've gone and the version that they've gone with Crash Bandicoot 4, he's a little bit too silly. I would much more like to see his version of PlayStation 1 or even PlayStation 2. Not PlayStation 2. On PlayStation 1, his version of his less wacky version of himself in Crash Bandicoot 1 and 2. And he kind of, I mean, in the second one, he kind of went a little bit crazier, but he was still kind of normal. Same thing in the third one. And then the fourth, they're just, his tongue's out all the time and he's like cross. What? He does that once in a while. He looks like a normal... Anyway, this is not about Crash Bandicoot. This is about video games that I'm looking forward to, and I am looking forward to Crash Bandicoot 4. I just think they've gone a little bit too far with him. Next up is Star Wars Squadrons, which also came out on October 2nd. And Crash Bandicoot 4 was coming out for Xbox and PS4. Squadrons, same thing. It looks like it could be fun. I think it is also a budget title, so it's a little bit cheaper. That's always nice. Looking at it, like it could be fun. Torchlight Threes comes out on October 13th. That comes out for PS4 and Xbox One as well. I need to get into the Torchlight series. That is right up my alley, and I really got to get into it. So that might be happening. I would like to say sooner than later, but it's probably the opposite, later rather than sooner. But I am looking forward to it. Next up is Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, which comes out on October 16th. I need to get a pre-order for this because I think that this would be a crazy amount of fun. And I think that I could even get my mother to try this because she's horrible at racing games, but it would be so much fun to watch her seeing actually how she's playing. And I'm curious to see if she would be looking at the actual Switch screen or if she would be looking at the cart going around. But I think it would just be a blast to be able to see exactly how much she's messing up. So I really want this game. Very different. Not necessarily something that you would probably put tons of hours in, but I think that when you have a bunch of people over or something, which because of everything that's going on, it probably won't happen very often anymore until everything kind of resolves itself in about 5 years. But it's still, there's a novelty there. And it's something out of the box, which Nintendo just really nails. They give us different video game experiences. And as a kid, I would be freaking out. But even as an adult, I'm kind of freaking out as well. Next up is The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4 coming out on October 27th. I really need to get into this series because this is the fourth, and before that you should probably play some of the other Trails games. They're so long though, but they really are up my alley. There's a bunch of them on the PSP and I think the Vita as well that I could. No, the Vita is the Trails series, the Trails of Cold Steel series. I think I have the first one, maybe even the second one on the Vita, and then I have the first one on PS4, I think, but I haven't played it yet. Yeah, looking forward to it. Looks pretty freaking good. Next up is on the October 29th, Watch Dogs. And Trails of Cold Steel 4 is on the PS4, and I don't remember if it's actually on the Switch. It might be on the Switch. I know that the third one came out on the Switch, but I don't know if the fourth one is necessarily coming to the Switch. Possible. Watch Dogs Legion is coming out October 29th. This actually looks pretty good. I liked the idea of Watch Dogs. I didn't really like the single player in the first game, never played the second one. And the multiplayer, though, especially the hide and seek aspect of it, was a blast. I bought that game specifically because I wanted to play just that mode of the multiplayer where you go and try to find people or hide. So much fun. I that was my earliest like Xbox One memories. I bought it that summer in 2013, I think. No, 2014. Summer 2014, I bought my Xbox One. And it was just Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, and Watch Dogs with the multiplayer. So much fun. Next up is Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which comes out on October 30th. So they're porting over Pikmin 3 and adding a few things, I believe, to it, which is always a good thing. Because nobody played it on the Wii U because nobody owned a Wii U, except for like 3 families. Next up is, so that's it for October. Pretty good month. I would say that the best one here that I'm looking forward to the most would have to be probably Mario Kart Live Home Circuit just because of the novelty. But in terms of actually probably enjoying a game, would probably Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4. That's right up my alley. That kind of an RPG. Good stuff. I definitely want to get into that series. Next up is November. We have, starting off with Assassin's Creed of Valhalla. Which comes out on November 10th on the Xbox Series X. I believe the Xbox One as well, and PS4 potentially as well, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But I'm definitely looking forward to that. That's another series that I really got to get moving on. I've beaten the first one, and that's it. I don't even know how many there are now, but there's a lot. Next up is Gears Tactics, which comes out on, I think, Series X, definitely, potentially the Xbox One as well. That looks pretty good, actually. I'm a fan of the Gears series, not majorly, but this tactics games I really do enjoy. So I might get this one. Like if I was getting a Series X, I would definitely be picking this game up. Next up is November 12th, so the PlayStation 5 launch. We have Demon Souls, which I'm not the biggest fan of the Dark Souls series. I have played Dark Souls 1 and that was it, and I didn't beat it. But if I was getting a PS5 on day one, I would definitely probably pick this up because it is still something. Generally on a launch, I kind of give games a little bit more leniency because you just want to play something that is next gen, and even though you're not necessarily going to be as... You'll be a little bit disappointed sometimes, but you're still like, you're in that hype mode of just like, this is a launch, this is a launch of a new system. I'm going to need to play a bunch of different games. You want to try different genres. So I would definitely probably pick up Demon Souls at this point if I ended up getting a PS5, which I might. I honestly don't know what the hell I'm doing for launch of Series X and PS5. Also, in that same vein, we have Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which, I mean, it could be a fun little platformer. I'm not really expecting a lot from that, but it is something that I would probably pick up, especially if for the multiplayer aspect of it. And finally, for November 12th is Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I'm very much looking forward to. I like that they are making this a kind of like more like a DLC. It's not a DLC pack, but it kind of is, or an expansion, maybe an expansion, where we're getting the continuation of the Spider-Man series. But this isn't the true sequel to Spider-Man PS4. This is kind of like an expansion side story with Miles, and then we're going to continue on with Spider-Man 2. Where Peter Parker's story continues. Because the best Miles Morales version that I've ever seen is from the Spider-Man PS4. So I'm curious to see if they're going to keep that up and keep it going with his own kind of storyline in this one. Next up is on November 13th, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Black Ops, I generally like that from Call of Duty. I mean, we've had 10,000 Call of Duty games in the last 3 years, so I mean, it's COD, it's good, but it's the same thing over and over again. But I generally do like the Black Ops series, and I also generally like, I mean, zombies is pretty fun too. Then November 19th is Cyberpunk 2077, which I think everybody is freaking out for. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think I'm at the same level that everybody else is. Punkish stuff generally doesn't do anything for me. I think that it's just lame, actually. So the setting for me isn't going to be the greatest thing, but the actual world, I think, is what's going to interest me. Like the aspect of how big it is and how real it feels. That's what I'm looking forward to, not the actual setting. If they would have just made this a futuristic game instead of... Anyway. And last but not least for November is Hyrule Warriors. I can't even speak. I'm so tired. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, November 20th. So looking forward to this. This is why I'm doing this video, is for that game. I can't wait for that game. I liked the Hyrule Warriors first game, even though there was really no context for going into it. It was kind of its own separate thing in terms of the storyline. I just liked being able to play a Warriors game in Hyrule, essentially, with all the different characters. But now we're actually getting the story of before Breath of the Wild, with the Age of Calamity, 100 years before Breath of the Wild. Like, that's... I can't wait for this. This is going to be fantastic. I'm so excited. My girlfriend isn't a big gamer, but I'm going to try to get her with this. She's more like an old school gamer. So, and she never really transitioned to the 3D games, but I'm going to try to convince her somehow to try this. Of all the games, it shouldn't be a Warriors game that I try to convince her to play these 3D games, but we'll see. And last but not least, for rounding up the next Q4 of 2020 video games, is in December, Atelier, Riza 2, Lost Legends, and the Secret Fairy, coming out on December 3rd. I'm looking forward to that. I do like the Atelier, or I've always liked the idea of the Atelier games. Never played any of them, but it seems like it is something that could be up my alley, a little bit more niche, but it looks fun. I don't think I'll be getting it. I would like to... I don't know where I would like to start with that. There's so many series that I'm so far behind now, so it's very hard to sometimes say, okay, I'm going to start with this game, because my OCD takes over and I want to start from the original, from the beginning. But when you're 15 games in, it's, wow, how can you do that? So I'm going to have to eventually find some place to kind of start off with that isn't necessarily the beginning, and closer to where they're at now. The life of a gamer. Just so many games, so little time. It's so true. I need that shirt. Definitely. So that's it. That's what I'm looking forward to so far that they've announced for what's coming out at the end of 2020 for the last 3 months. Q4. Let me know in the comments below what you're looking forward to in the next 3 months. And you have been bearded in. Beardage!